grade. This is a video for your math, lesson 6.5. So in lesson 6.5, we're going to be talking about using partial quotients to divide by two-digit numbers. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do this Explore and Grow with you to kind of start you out. So it says, how can you use an area model to find 168 divided by 14? So we're going to draw it out, and I'm going to draw it on my graph paper here, and you're going to draw it on the little grid paper that's in your book. So we know that it's divided by 14, so we know that one of the sides is going to be 14 squares long. So we're going to start here. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so we know that it is 14. But we want to know 14 times what equals that 168. So the way we do partial quotients is we split it up. We split up what our answer would be. If your number is greater than 100, it is a safe bet to assume that one of the numbers that one of the partial quotients is 10. Because any two-digit number times 10 is going to be greater than 100. Right? So 14, this is 14. Go ahead and label it on your paper as well. 14 times 10, well, you would stick a 0 on the end, that's 140. Which is more than 100, right? But it's not to our 160 yet. So we're going to say that the first one, the first partial quotient is 10. So we're going to go 10 across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and close that rectangle out. Like that. And this one is 10. The area of this one, if you were to multiply 14 and 10, is 14 with a 0, right? 140. Okay, so now what is left? Well, we're going to do some quick math and say that we had 168 to start. We have 140. So we're going to subtract 8. 6 minus 4 is 2. And 0. So I need 28 more. So 14 times what is 28? Well, 14 times 1 is 14. 14 times 2, let's figure that out real quick. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 1 is 2. So there's our 28. So we need 2 more going across. So 2 more. And then we're going to close up this rectangle. So this one is 2. And we just found out that 14 times 2 is 28. So go ahead and label yours, that when you draw it, go ahead and label yours with these numbers as well. So this is our area model to help us find 168 divided by 14. Okay, so now our reasoning. Let's explain how our model shows the quotient. The area model shows partial quotients of 10 and 2. So go ahead and write that in as part of your reason. The area model shows the partial quotients of 10 and 2. Now, those two partial quotients, you add them together to find the total quotient. Well, 10 plus 2 is 12. So the second part that you're going to write is, so 168 divided by 14 is 12. Right, because 10 plus 2 equals 12. So, partial quotients, that's what we're going to be working on today. So let's look at our next example page here. Alright, use an area model and partial quotients to find 180 divided by 12. Okay, so first we're going to look here, 180 divided by 12. Our first partial quotient, always, if it's bigger than 100, it's a safe bet that your first partial quotient is going to be 10. So we're going to do that real quick, which they have plugged in for you here. 120, right, is what equals 12 times 10. Then you're going to subtract 180 minus 120 equals 60. Okay, so now we need to know how many times is 12 going to 60. That would be 12 times 5. And 12 times 5 is 60. You don't have any remainder. 60 minus 60 is 0. 10 plus 5 is 15. So your partial quotients are 5 and 10, which they show you here in your area model. So your quotient, the answer that you're looking for 180 divided by 12, is going to be 15. Okay, let's do another one. Let's do the other example here. 396 divided by 18. Okay, so this one is bigger than 100, right? It's even bigger than 200. It's bigger than 300. So they've split it up into 3 partial quotients. The first one, remember, always do 10. Okay, so 180, or 18, sorry, times 10 is 180. So that's our first one. Then you subtract that 180 from your total. You get 216. So you're going to do another 10 because 180 is smaller than 216. So you have another 10. 18 times 10, 180. We're going to subtract again. You get 36. Okay, so our last one is 36. That would be 18 times 2. 36 minus 36 is 0. There's no remainder. So now you add your 3 partial quotients. 10 plus 10 plus 2 is 22. So the quotient, your answer, for 396 divided by 18 is 22. Alright, so always the first thing that you're going to want to do is they've given you some of the areas already for the area models, right? We know that it's divided by 16, so this is all going to be 16. Well, 160 divided by 16 is 10, so we know that that's going to be 10. So you're going to plug in the 10 here and also over here in this box. And then you're going to subtract this total from this right here. So the 176 minus 160, and you'll put that answer here. Well, there gave us that answer as well. 16. Well, 16 times what is 16? It's 1. Alright, so 16 times what is 16? It's 1. So this one is 16. 16 times 1 gives us 16. 16 minus 16 is 0. And then we move our 2 partial quotients that we had into these boxes and you add. 10 plus 1 is 11, giving you a total, your quotient of 11. So always make sure that the first one you're doing, if the number is bigger than 100 that you're dividing, and your divisor, the number that you're dividing by, is a 2-digit number, your first partial quotient is going to be 10. So it'll be the same with that one. Alright, let's go over really quick and look at our word problems, because I know word problems are always a little tricky. Alright, a zookeeper cleans the rectangular floor of a baboon enclosure. The floor of the enclosure has an area of 156 square feet and a width of 12 feet. What is the length of the enclosure? Okay, well, we know that area is length times width equals area. Okay, well, we know the width. It told us 12 feet. So we have length times 12 equals, and it told us the area as well, 156. To find that missing factor, we're going to turn it into a division problem. 156 divided by 12 will give us our length. Okay, so then they've set up an area model of the floor to help us find our length. So we know that the total is 156, and we know that our first partial quotient is always going to be 10, when it's a number greater than 100 with a divisor that's 2 digits. So we've got 12 here and 10. So 10 is your first one, so you're going to plug that into that box. Which is 120. 120, 156 minus 120, they tell us is 36. Right? And it tells us over here as well. 3 times 12 is 36. So 3 is going to be our second partial quotient. 36 minus 36 is 0. And you add up your partial quotients. 10 plus 3 is 13. 156 divided by 12 is 13. So the length of the enclosure is 13. All right. If there is not a setup for partial quotients, if it doesn't have these little boxes out here and it wants you to add those up, I am perfectly fine if on the word problems you want to divide, just regular divide, instead of doing partial quotients. If you find that it's easier to do partial quotients, you are welcome to do it that way. But if just regular division is easier for you, go ahead and do it that way for these word problems. Now, if it's set up to find partial quotients, you do need to fill in the boxes and find the partial quotients for me. But if it's set up as just a word problem and it doesn't specify use an area model, use partial quotients, I'm fine if you just divide. If you have any questions on lesson 6.5, please let me know. I'm always happy to help, and I will see you next time for lesson 6.6. Bye.